Hello and welcome to Mr. Game Review Show. Don't forget to subscribe the channel, hit the like button and put a comment below the video. Thank you so much. Red Asphalt, also known as Rock and Roll Racing 2, Red Asphalt is a vehicular combat and racing game released for the PlayStation 1 in 1998. It serves as a loose sequel to the cult favorite Rock and Roll Racing. Here's a breakdown of the key aspects of the game. The game is set in a dystopian future where a group of competitors races across various deadly courses for survival and fame. The narrative is straightforward, focusing on the brutal, high-stakes nature of racing in this futuristic universe. While the story attempts to add some depth with character backstories and a post-apocalyptic atmosphere, it tends to take a backseat to the gameplay. Red Asphalt combines racing with vehicular combat, much like its predecessor. The racing mechanics are fairly standard, but what sets it apart is the emphasis on combat. Players can use weapons mounted on their cars to attack rivals, creating a chaotic and destructive environment. The mix of racing and destruction can be fun and satisfying, especially when blasting an opponent off the track. The game offers vehicle customization, allowing players to upgrade their cars with better armor, weapons, and engines as they progress. This adds a layer of strategy to the game as you must balance speed with firepower to succeed. For a 1998 PlayStation 1 title, the graphics in Red Asphalt are serviceable but not groundbreaking. The environments are dark and gritty, which fits the dystopian theme, but the textures and models are somewhat basic even by PS1 standards. The game's frame rate can occasionally dip, especially during intense combat sequences. One of the highlights of Red Asphalt is its soundtrack, which features an aggressive, rock-oriented score that complements the chaotic and violent nature of the gameplay. The sound effects are decent, with explosions and engine sounds adding to the overall intensity, though they can become repetitive after long sessions. The game can be quite challenging, especially as the AI becomes more aggressive in later levels. The mix of racing and combat means players need to master both mechanics to succeed. However, once the player becomes familiar with the gameplay loop, it can feel repetitive due to a lack of variety in tracks and mission objectives. While the game offers multiplayer, which can be fun in short bursts, the overall replay value is somewhat limited compared to other vehicular combat games of its time. Red Asphalt is a niche game that will appeal primarily to fans of vehicular combat and dystopian settings. While it doesn't have the polish or depth of more popular titles in the genre such as Twisted Metal or Wipeout, it does offer some enjoyment with its chaotic, weapon-filled races. However, the game's dated visuals, repetitive gameplay, and lack of variety may deter modern players or those seeking a more refined racing experience. When comparing Red Asphalt to other similar games of its era, it falls short in several areas. Here's a breakdown of how it stacks up against its main competitors in the vehicular combat and racing genre, particularly on the PlayStation 1. Comparison to similar games: Twisted Metal series, Twisted Metal 1995 and Twisted Metal 2 1996. Set the gold standard for vehicular combat games in the 90s. They offered larger, more varied environments, a strong focus on character-driven storylines, and better overall gameplay mechanics. Red Asphalt, while featuring vehicular combat, doesn't match the depth, polish, or variety of Twisted Metal. The characters in Twisted Metal felt more iconic and the combat was tighter, with better balance between vehicles and weapons. SO Twisted Metal is the superior choice for vehicular combat fans. Wipeout series. The Wipeout series, especially Wipeout XL 2097, provided a fast, futuristic racing experience with slick controls and a highly praised electronic soundtrack. Wipeout had fluid gameplay, excellent track design, and a futuristic aesthetic that was ahead of its time. Red Asphalt's combat elements tried to differentiate it from traditional racers like Wipeout, but its gameplay wasn't as refined or fast-paced. The sluggish vehicle handling and unpolished combat made it feel less intense compared to Wipeout's smooth racing mechanics. So, Wipeout was the better futuristic racer, offering a much more engaging and fluid experience. Was a middling game when compared to its contemporaries. While it had potential and offered some entertainment value with its mix of combat and racing, it was outclassed by genre-defining titles like Twisted Metal, Wipeout, and Vigilante 8. It lacked the polish, variety, and fun factor that made these other games more memorable and engaging. Whether Red Asphalt is worth playing today largely depends on what you're looking for and your expectations from a retro game. If you grew up during the PS1 era and enjoy revisiting older games, Red Asphalt offers a unique blend of racing and vehicular combat. It's a curiosity from a time when developers were experimenting with different genres,